we've never pushed that end time, and I didn't remember if it was 5:30 or 6. Oh my God. Amy Oakley's kid is going to be the one that nobody gave me. And please do it, whatever happens. Like, I'm running in.
Money well spent.
I come running in. No kidding. I'm running in there. She's like, oh God.
We used to tell new parents when you come in when that's going to happen, and when it does, it's okay. You know, use that time to go to the grocery store and do those things.
Those things are. Oh my God, it's been great. Ian's been a little tentative, and we've just been letting it go, and but their needs, and they love it. The kids can put their own. That's like
If I can get your attention, we'll start shortly here.
running a good ship. I really appreciate it.
I'm sure they will.
First of all, welcome everybody. It's nice to see many of you here for a second night, and those that are fresh here the first time, thanks again. I'm Roger Tolman, the school board president, and before we begin, I guess it's always helpful, as we did last night and we'll do tomorrow, to begin and kind of frame this with the district's mission, which is that the school district of Fort Atkinson is committed to delivering quality opportunities and services that each of our students needs to achieve his or her academic and personal potential. I also want to put a few thank yous out there for setting all this up here. Some of you may know we had a little roof damage from the wind up here before yesterday's event and had a little water leak into our IMC. So I want to thank the custodians here in the building and our maintenance staff for making this all possible yet without any delays or inconveniences. Also want to thank John Collins for the video work. You can see all these presentations thanks to him, as well as the tech department that helped us get our setup here, and for the library staff that's hosting us. So appreciate all that extra effort for these 3 nights in a row. Additionally, I want to introduce our Board of Education. We have Victoria Hochtel, our Vice President, if you want to just give a wave. Yeah. And we have our Treasurer, Kim Patrick. We have our Clerk, Sue Hall, there, and our Member, Mark Cheney, up front here. Thank you guys for coming out for another long evening. A few housekeeping items here before I introduce our second candidate. First of all, we'll hold this presentation to about 20 minutes. And then we'll continue the meet and greet. We might go a little past 5 tonight, but we want to try to keep it fairly tight, but we know we're running a little behind. We want to keep it as a meet and greet and not as a question and answer session afterwards. So we've asked her, as much as she'd love to answer all your questions, to just keep it to the presentation, and then she'll kind of try to mingle with you guys. Also, the fortschools.org website now has the links to each of the 3 evenings videos, so you can watch all of these at home at your leisure or rewatch them, as well as a link to the feedback form that many of you received tonight as you walked in. You can turn those in anytime before noon on Friday, either the electronic submission or at any of the school's offices. And if they're in by noon on Friday, the board will get those for their review before we make a decision on Monday, hopefully. In addition, our Facebook and Twitter has all those same links out there. And I think that's about all I'm supposed to introduce. Tonight, when you turn those feedback forms in, our Director of HR, Danny Hopkins, back in the corner there in red, would be the person to give those to preferably, but board members can take them as well. I think that's about it for housekeeping sort of chores. So without further ado, I'm going to let our candidate introduce herself and kind of give you a background, as well as maybe some of the experiences that she shared today. So our second finalist here will be Dr. Lynn Brown.
all, I'd like to thank the Board of Education and this wonderful community and staff for welcoming me to the Fort Atkinson School District. This is amazing. I've had an awesome day. Even though I came from a board meeting late last night, I feel refreshed. It's refreshing and energizing to be around people, and this is not even in my speech, but to be around people who believe what you believe about kids and putting them in the center, and about education and the hope and opportunity that you have for each one of those. Okay, I've entitled this, I Believe. I believe that community begins with family. Myself, my daughter Elizabeth on the bottom, my husband Phil. We have 3 sons on top. You might see that the first two on the left, Jeff and Steve, they're identical twins. Did a lot of class switching throughout their career in school. And our oldest John on the right, Jeff married Stephanie. And the next years, Stephen married Audrey. That's our dog, Conan, the barbarian, who is docile. And we welcomed our newest family community member this last June. That is little Charlotte, and they're in Texas. Our Montello School District community, we are a community of about 750 students. We have farm to table this year, and this was actually this year. Look who's on top of the pyramid at homecoming. That would be me. We had a pyramid building, and we were racing against the freshman, sophomore, junior, senior class, and we came in second. How we build our community is we build connections with each other, and those are my teachers and administrators down below. Lots of fun. Okay, the greater Montello community. Now, you might, if you've been through Montello, one thing you will remember is the waterfall. Montello has the first or second hardest granite in the world, and is on like these two and many others. We celebrate community. We are the seat of Marquette County. And we have a Veterans Memorial that was opened in the last couple of years. I participated on the Substance Abuse Policy Committee on the board, Healthy Children, Healthy Youth, and I just have, my term was up on the Wisconsin Rural Schools Alliance for small schools. This last August, we were in a listening session with Governor Walker, where I got to bring staff and students with me. We are partnered with Thrivent for Operation Backpack, where we send backpacks home absolutely every single weekend. We've done another thing in our community. We have high poverty, and so we've partnered with Bug Tussle to create, like, I call them Ghostbuster backpacks, where we actually have a router or a modem, or I don't even know what it is. It's this thing with ears, but we also have a Chromebook, so it runs through our content filter. So for those of our students that do not have access to internet, we provide that free of charge. Connected with the Montello Alliance, there's the Marquette County Veterans Memorial that opened a couple of years ago. Partnered with the Rotary, began a student interact club, where our kids are really involved in service, and I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. The Residence on Forest Lane is a senior living community across the street from our facility. They created bird feeders, and they're going over weekly to fill the bird feeders for the residents. We have a TechX team of students that is in our technology lab, and they're actually, we have hired students, 3 students, and we pay them 15 hours a week, so that's 5 hours for each student. They recently donated 10 refurbished laptops to the residents on Forest Lane. And our community shares a focused vision. When I started 3.5 years ago in Montello, I was said, you know, we're really in survival mode, we're concerned about reading, and we're concerned about finances. I led the community through a community visioning process this last year, and these are their words, not mine. They said, here's what we want for our kids. We want to offer job training type courses, hands-on classes where they can create something, exposure and experiences that connect students to the real world beyond the classroom. We want high academic achievement, and we want you to teach character. How? We began by looking at our data. We looked at everything from our classroom schedules and our instructional minutes, our classroom practices, and we just dove in with professional development to change the capacity and the opportunities for your kids. You have to change what's happening in the classroom, and that begins by building the capacity of your staff. We chose some different curriculum resources, and we are framing our lessons to be engaging, meaningful, and empowering, so students want to come to school every day, so they own it. You probably can't see this, but we were scoring, now this is the PALS, it's a screener, but we were even scoring on our PALS test between the 25th and 30th percentile, and this is where we're scoring in the fall of this last year. I don't know if you can see this, but in our first grade, our Fontes and Pinnell, for literacy, 85% of our kids are showing adequate progress toward the goal. I think I'm ready to walk over there. What's real interesting, on the left-hand graph, if you see the fall numbers, minimal and basic, we had 13 and 10. Our winter numbers, we only have 2 kids in that category. The idea is we don't want anybody in minimal and basic, but the growth we are making is exceptional. Second grade, same, 74%. Third grade, again, our gaps are closing. Taking the ACT Aspire, everyone knows that our data and our state assessments have changed over and over again. We've gone from the WKCE to the Badger to the Forward exam, but one thing that has stayed static was that ACT Aspire, at least for 2 years in a row. Now that everyone has to take the ACT and not just 50% of your kids, what does that really look like? Well, you can see that in 14 and 15, our projected overall score for our students was 17.7 and all the way up to, in science, 19.0. With the work we've done over the past few years, the predicted ACT score is a lot higher. So we're moving in the right direction. How have we done that? We've focused on core instruction, but as I've said to several of you, we've really, really worked on polishing what is going on well in Montello. In the Agri-Science Department, we had a 2015 national winner, Eric Coddington. He was one of only 4. There's only 4 top spots in the nation, and Montello took first place in one of those categories. We've expanded that, so how do you expand and grow our Agri-Science Department? We've resurrected our greenhouse. We're using aquaponics. We've partnered with a local aquaponics place called Nelson and Pate. They have a partnership with UW Stevens Point, and so we've partnered with that whole group, and we'll be eating the fish in the spring. I wish, like the lettuce, you could harvest it every 28 days, but the fish take the whole year to grow. We have a Highmark Environmental Charter School, and they originally started out as a very at-risk school and very project-based, and what they've morphed into is a grade 7 through 12, highly successful environmental charter school. We have a long waiting list to get in there, and these are kids that really, really want to focus on the environment and science in the environment. They are on the path to becoming a Green Ribbon School, and we're really proud of that. Like you, music is a big thing in Montello, and we have 2016 some Tommy Award winners, and so we're going to be showcasing that. Our computer science we started last year, as I've shared with some of you, we have an individual in our building in our complex named Aggie Salter, and she was a Google educator trainer, and she was working with Quincy Jones to pilot playground sessions. And I just thought, well, you've been teaching music for 15 years, and you have such a passion to teach computer science. So last year, this year was the first, and she did was a tech integration coach on the side after school. But what we know about building the capacity of teachers is that we need to get in there and work with them shoulder to shoulder. So this year, the board made the decision to have her go ahead and teach computer science, kindergarten through 6th grade. So our kids are coding in C++, C#, and they're coding K6, and it's been so successful that our kids, besides doing the code.org, we're going to run it all the way up through 12th grade so that next year our kids can begin working on systems that will give them industry standards when they get out. We have text tools, that's Osmo on the left. That picture on the right, kids were demonstrating their understanding of looping. We have a kindergartner down below showing his dad how he's coding, even in kindergarten. And let's see, you have the Gear VR glasses, so you can take virtual field trips and many other things, as we do. That's Robot Turtles on the left, and again, some of our parents experiencing some of those tech tools for the first time. This is, I can't remember how to pronounce his name, Hadi Partovi. He's the founder of Code.org. And so he actually sent out a tweet from one of our kids up there on the left. Well done, course 3 next is what it says. The book up there on the right is from a first grader named Theory. So for parent-teacher conferences in the fall, our kids, usually the parent would sit out in the hall and wait till it's their turn to go in for a student-led conference or whatever. But what our kids did is they created a book, and then we had a QR code, so the parent took their phone and scanned the book, so while they were waiting for the parent-teacher conference, they could watch their child reading the book to them. My leadership styles, the Gallup Strength Finder, you can see I'm strategic, I'm a visionary, but I'm an achiever. I'm about getting it done, relator, learner, and responsibility. My DISC style is dominant, influencing, steady, or conscientious. I am more influencing and steady. And this is my big thing. Why? Because we need our kids to go out and contribute to other people, to mankind, to the world. That's what we're training them to do. I know the video isn't up and it doesn't, work, but maybe it does. Oh, shoot. But if you've ever seen The Emperor's Club, I don't know if you've seen that movie, but he says, great ambition and conquest without contribution is to be without significance. And I really believe that our job as educators, as parents, I'm a mom of 4 kids, 3 boys, and my daughter Elizabeth's going to Madison next year, so my other kids are grown and out of the house. But to see my own kids be able to come back and have a contribution in their church, in their community, that's what it's all about. It's teaching our kids to use their skills in service to others. That is the greatest contribution. So that's what we're training our kids to do. And what I'd love to do in Fort Atkinson is be a part of a team that continues to give a high quality education, but give our kids experiences and exposures and opportunities to follow the path that they only dream of. So, how's that? 30 slides, pretty quick.
That's right. Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Brown, and we'll just hope that you mingle with everybody that's here that you haven't already. So over here, so these 5, please get a chance to speak with their candidate. Thank you.